Welcome back to the channel, everyone. We are live streaming this one, so I'm going to give some people a little bit of time to get in here and check out how things are going. But you might notice this is a little bit different setup. I've been experimenting with some different areas around the house, and I am sitting in what is basically our long kitchen and dining room and then living room. So this is the dining room table looking at to the living room. Downstairs, for whatever reason, was kind of giving me fits today. I've got all of my setup down there. I've got, everything that I basically work on, and for whatever reason, today was just not the day for it. So today, what we are going to talk about has to do with a question that, excuse me, that I got last week or the week before in one of the comment sections of my video, and that was a very innocent question, but it has come up a lot in different forms. And the question was, why are people talking so much about Merida, Mexico? Am I missing something? And the answer that I had to tell them was a little, but this was something that, a place that I discovered a year and a half, 2 years ago. So not anything recent. And we've gone to Mexico several times. My wife had heard of it. We'd both heard a little bit about Progreso, which is the beach town that's just north of there. But I thought it'd be a good, like, kind of live stream atmosphere to get with you guys, have a little chat going on, and really determine, what are the reasons that people are talking about it. Now, for those of you who don't know, my name is Alexander Howell, and this YouTube channel is devoted to a couple of things, but as most of you know, for the most part, we have since about this time last year really talked about Merida, Mexico, which is a city on the Yucatan Peninsula in the state of Yucatan. And so between all of the different videos that we've made, all the interactions with you, my travels down there, and actually investing in a home down there, I've been able to gather enough information to pass it on to you and also be kind of in the position to learn a lot as well. So the community that we have, all the people that are on chat, all the people that are in the comments section, that have emailed me, gotten on social media and contacted me, obviously always excited to do that, but I have learned so much. So that's really what we're going to be talking about today, is getting into why people are talking about Merida, why people have moved there, and what, some of the finer points, some of the, I shouldn't say finer points, some of the main points about it. What's going on, David? Good to see you again. Doing pretty good. How are you, sir? But let's see. Right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over here, do a real quick check on to my my YouTube channel on my phone, and just make sure that I'm coming through nice and clear. Sounds like I'm doing pretty good. All right. And so we're going to turn that down now. Let's see. You found 17 acres west of Merida. You got to tell me, I mean, obviously west, but you got to tell me where that is. I know there's a not insignificant area over there that's that when we drove it to see a cenote, that was about, I don't know, 40 minutes out of town or something like that. And we thought, I mean, there was some beautiful sights on there. The interesting thing was, as you got kind of more and more inland, just the little bitty small kind of one horse towns that you'd go through. It's a kind of a cool area. Let's see. But I made a couple of notes here on my phone. So if I look down, my camera's here. All of my stuff is down here. Again, this is just kind of a different setup than what I'm used to before. And since it's a live stream, it's not going to be as edited as some of the others. But the first thing that I wanted to hit on was, this is one of those things that I've talked about in other videos, that I never want it to seem like a position where you're getting, you're trying to take advantage of a negative situation. It's just a fact of the matter. And that is one of the big reasons that people try to move to Merida, why people try to move in general, is cost of living. So if you're living in a place like New York or California, or, basically the coast, and there's obviously some places in the Midwest too that have this, but if you go down to Merida, it's going to seem incredibly, incredibly efficient with regard to the use of your dollar. So if you're somebody that depends on stretching that dollar as much as possible, let's say that you're living on Social Security and some fixed income investments and retirement, this is going to seem like a wonderful place to be. And I give this example all the time that, when we've gone down there, we've stayed next to places where you walk two doors down and you get three giant things of food, and it's $6, $6 US total. We've also been in situations where we've gone to really nice restaurants, and even though the meal was between $75 or $100, it would have been three times that, even here in Kansas City. When you think about that as well, not only is it cost of living with regard to, and we'll get into this a little bit more in a second, but the low cost of living also has to do with real estate. Our real estate taxes we paid, something under $100. I think it was like $43 for our real estate taxes on the home that we just purchased. And because we purchased it so far ahead, or because we paid the real estate taxes so far ahead, we ended up getting a really good deal on, basically they have this like small insurance program that allows you to have a little bit of insurance there if something small were to happen to your house. But in all honesty, just spending that little amount of money is one of the biggest encouraging factors to doing that. Now, there are some things that are more expensive. When you look at trying to get, the biggest examples that I always see pop up on forums are make sure that you buy your Nikes in the United States, make sure that you buy your TVs in the United States because they can get pretty expensive. The other one is electric. Now, we haven't gotten a true electricity bill from our property right now. Our management company is basically taking all that, tying it into the bills that we pay at the end of each month. So we do get a bit of a breakdown, but electricity can be a fairly expensive utility cost. And so that's why you'll see a lot of houses down there, especially ones like ours where we're going to be running several air conditioning units. A lot of the houses down there will have solar panels, which help significantly. There was a buddy, or I shouldn't say a buddy, real estate, a realtor down there that was helping us show the properties, if I can talk and get the words out, was telling us about, his property is a smaller property, but he was paying between 100 and 150 bucks a month, and he didn't have that many air conditioners. It was, kind of TV, that kind of thing, but he was paying what is not an insignificant amount of money per month. He put, a few $1,000s, and I mean just a few $1,000s worth of solar panels on his house, and it went down to 53 pesos total. So, and let's see, David just commented, you pay 42 pesos every 2 months. Solar, exactly. So that's what I'm talking about, is if you get solar panels on, just like everything else, it so, ridiculously pushes down the price of that it makes a ton of sense. Now, I did see an article that was the CFE, the electrical company down there, basically saying that they were I can't remember if it was they were pulling or they were slowing permits or something like that. I don't know why, but the article I posted actually on our Facebook group, which is facebook.com/group/travel, the number 2 Merida. So travel to Merida. And I posted that article and I said, this is not a question or an answer like I normally give on here, but this might be something for people that are looking to get solar. It might be kind of a push, a kick in the butt to actually go ahead and do it. So just something to think about, but getting solar, putting that investment up front, obviously significantly helps it. If David, like he said, is paying 42 pesos every 2 months. So Traveling Squirrel, what's going on? So Traveling Squirrel is asking, I'm looking into Bulldog Solar. What do you plan on using? We've heard and seen several companies. Bulldog Solar seems to be the one that I've heard the most positive praise about. So my guess is we're probably going to end up using them as well. The only thing that I can see that would push us in a different direction is if, let's say, our contractor Henry decided that he was, he had a company where he had an in and might be able to get a little bit different setup or a little bit better setup. That would be it. But Bulldog Solar has such a positive reputation that I'm imagining we're probably going to go with them. Yeah, $2.10 exactly. That's absolute. So $1.05 a month. David's paying on electricity. Yeah, but yeah, so that's who we're probably going to go with. And again, it's one of those things that's difficult to talk about because the solar panel itself might not be, a crazy difference in price compared to the United States, but the labor costs down there, we can have a moral discussion about it. But the fact of the matter is that the labor cost down there is much lower, and so you get your solar system and a lot of things installed, the labor is not 50% of the cost like it is here. It's a lower percentage. So again, feel about that how you will, but right now I'm just going through facts and why people are choosing Merida. So that's kind of one of the things. Let's see. I had a few other things on here too. So, if we talk about lower cost of living, you talk about, obviously solar, and then your bills go way down. Meals are significantly less expensive. There are other things that are more expensive down there, but the list is short of that and long on the other side. But the thing that really nobody questions about Merida is that when you look it up, it is always on several lists as being one of the safest cities in North America, and actually the safest city in Mexico. And it's touted quite a bit in kind of a weird way where it's touted so much that it almost seems like what's being hidden back here. I've had a couple of people that have sent me emails that were just directly to me, not commented or anything like that on the channel, but just saying like, is that real? I hear that it's the safest city in Mexico, second safest city outside of Quebec City in Canada, safer than any U.S. city. Is that true? And it's like, look, you know, if you go to a suburb in Kansas City, like I live in a suburb just to the south of Kansas City, where I grew up is south of here. If you go to a suburb like that, yeah, and you want to call that a city, sure. But if you're looking at a decent sized city, and I'm assuming it was probably cities over 250 to 500,000, something like that. But if you're looking at big cities, that's what they're going off of, and it's violent crime and things like that. And I actually have another video where I talk about it, but personally, my experience and what I tell everybody that asks me that question is we have been to several areas of the city, driving from the airport up, driving around the south area, driving, obviously around Centro in the historic district, all the districts that are kind of known as the quote unquote nicer districts around there. Chembec is where we are, and there's some streets that have been completely renovated where we are. There are some streets that have not been and are a little rough. And then areas to the north, the beach towns of Progresso, not one time did I feel like I was in any type of danger or did I feel unsafe. That's my personal experience. I'm a 5'11", 200-pound man. I know that there's a lot of, I do a lot of stuff that I feel very protected within myself. But at the same time, I can understand where somebody who was, who felt different, who was new, who wasn't used to international travel, maybe feeling a little wary in some areas, but not that there was danger there, just a feeling that they may have picked up. So that's been my experience. And to that, what I would want to say is always be careful too. I have my wedding ring, my wife's wedding ring. This is a question that I believe I responded to an email regarding this, but our rings are fairly nice. We have been married for about 10 years. When we bought them, we were not in the position financially that we are now, but it was something that was important to us to get so that we could, never have to change it. And so we probably dipped into to our savings a little bit more than we should have, but that was important to us, and we got those. Now, when you go down to Mexico, whether it's been Cancun, Puerto Vallarta, or even Merida, I've always had people tell me like, either turn your ring around or don't wear it or something like that. I understand that feeling. I completely, totally understand that feeling. I've never felt that I needed to do that. Now, that might be stupid. That might be, just give me whatever you think it might be. But that's just how I felt. That's been my experience. And I think a lot of things have to do with just being intelligent about what's going on. If I was, if I was staying up until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning and going out to cantinas and clubs and partying and that kind of thing, getting drunk and trying to like walk the streets, maybe I wouldn't feel the same way that I do. But I've got a very, suburban style life where I've got, a 6 and a 3-year-old. I've been married for 10 years. And so, we kind of have a schedule even when we're going down there. We might go to a late dinner, but it's not going to be until after midnight. And there's always the famous saying that nothing good happens after midnight. So that's just kind of my feeling, my thought about it. But as far as like safety and how you feel in Merida, I would say that it's top notch without question. So anyway, that's kind of the why are people choosing Merida safety part of it. And again, it's a lot of my personal experience. The numbers also add to that, but I can only tell you how I felt when I've been down there as opposed to how other people have too. So if you're in the live chat, tell me how you feel. And if you're watching this after the live chat ends, feel free to comment down below how you feel as well. Oh, and speaking of, if you are in the live chat or if you're watching this back, please feel free to hit the like button if you're enjoying the content. Always appreciate it. Helps it get out to more people. And whenever we get a live stream going and the likes go up, I see these videos kind of go out to a lot more people. So it is a free and cheap way to help me out. Thank you guys. Let's see. All right. So again, safety. I've made other videos about this subject, but it is just one of those things that it's like, be smart, be respectful. If you come down there and, Americans are always given the bad rap of anytime you see a bad person traveling, it's normally an American. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I always swing for the home team too. So maybe it's not, but yeah, that's just kind of my thing. It's like, be smart, understand your surroundings. But as far as like me actually feeling like there was any type of danger ever when we've gone down, no, that's not been the case. Traveling Squirrel, what's up? Don't go looking for women of the night and drugs, and you will be fine. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. I remember somebody right before we went down on our original trip to, we actually ended up in Wymatoon, which is the beach city to the north of Progresso, and a beach house. But right before we left, I think there was an incident in Playa del Carmen where somebody from the U.S., excuse me, was killed in Playa del Carmen. And once they found out why, I was like, well, yeah, guys, like it was 2:30 in the morning and he was looking for cocaine. Like it's not that I think that, you should be killed for being up at 2:30 in the morning looking for cocaine. I'm not here to judge your life. But it was also one of those things like maybe don't do that. Just a thought. I feel bad for him and his family obviously, but it's just one of those things like my goodness, man. Come on. Be smarter. Be smarter than that. And the women of the night thing is weird. I didn't realize the prostitution was legal in Mexico. We were driving to our hotel at one point, and there were several when COVID had just been kind of like recently. The markers have been set back a little bit, so people were getting a little bit more relaxed. And I was like, "That's interesting. That's interesting. Oh, now I know what's going on." So yes, avoid those things. Sins are okay, but sin smart if you're going to, I guess. Let's see, David. Crime is low here for a reason, mostly political reasons. There's still petty crime, like you said. Always be smart and cautious. Never felt unsafe. 100%. One other thing, too, that I want to hit on, and I'm glad you said that, David, is there is a huge police presence in Merida. So you'll notice the municipal police, you'll notice the state police, you'll notice the federal police. They are everywhere, and it is really helpful, especially in some of the busier areas when you see that kind of presence. Now I personally, I don't get nervous around police officers. I've been around them my entire life. I have family members that are and friends that are, so I know some people get a little nervous when they see that many cops. It's like, what is this, a bad area? No, it's not. That's actually one of the reasons that it's probably doing good. So just another thought, just another thought. And Mike Sweeney, what's going on? Keep up the great work. Enjoying following the progress on the home. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. We're getting excited, like more and more excited as the days go on. Our architect keeps sending us pictures back and forth of the progress that's going on, and it looks like they're just about to kind of start on the second level. Which there's something about seeing all the different spaces together that's really exciting. So like we're happy that it's happening, but we're also a little sad because we're not there. But oh my gosh, it's been so fun. So thank you for following, man. Obviously, thank you. First house we looked at buying was just down the street from a brothel. Great house, but our agent made sure we started looking in the other areas. That's that's fair. Yeah, I don't think I'd want to be down the street from a brothel either. So good on you. That's awesome. Let's see, are you considering putting in solar? Mike, we actually talked about that. We're definitely putting in solar. The company that we were talking about before is called Bulldog Solar, and that's probably who we're going to end up going with. But hold on one second. But they just have a sterling reputation, so I've got to imagine that we're going to go with them. If not, it would just be if our architect had somebody that they recommended and might be able to get us a better price or something like that. But yeah, we based on the electricity prices and some of the stuff that I've heard, especially about houses like ours that are a little bit bigger, that have a lot of AC, yeah, it's going to have to happen. And on top of that, like if you have an Airbnb, a lot of times what you'll see is that they will say, here's the price, but then anything over X amount of dollars you pay on the electric bill. So it helps when you have solar a lot. Let's see. Same neighborhood. Agents did not think it was a problem. Fair enough. Share the pictures. The pictures? Are you talking to me? I've got the pictures on my Instagram at Alexander from KC. I don't have all of them. I don't think I'd put the last ones up because there was a lot of progress with regard to like plumbing and electric and stuff like that. So they were showing us that stuff, but there wasn't really much different than anything else. But I definitely have them on Instagram. So most of the handles that I have, whether it's Twitter, Twitch, or Instagram, it's all at Alexander from KC. And so I post a lot of, kid stuff and that kind of thing. But I've got two crazy boys that do a lot of funny stuff. So I'll post that. But for the most part, it's like, house in the city, house at the lake, having fun, Merida. But the pictures from the construction, like if I see some good progress, I'll definitely put them up for sure. I thought it was a problem. I got a new agent. That's fair. Let's see. Okay, so we talked about safety. We talked about the low cost of living. Hey, everybody's talking about real estate right now and what they're looking for. And that was actually my next one. So let's talk about real estate. And I'm going to take a drink real quick. solar and a couple of mini splits, and you will be fat city. Mike, the amount of solar that or the amount of air conditioning units that I'm putting in my property had my architect questioning my sanity. But the reason is we're set up in a really blocky kind of layout. Our front room is just kind of a long entry. It's got a media room, and then let's see, media room, closet, washer dryer area, and then it's followed by two bathrooms that mirror each other, but it's basically full bath, two bedrooms, but they have outside access. That's the way that you get into the bedrooms, and then they also have a door between them. Those bedrooms have air conditioning. The front room has air conditioning. Then you go into the pantry and then the kitchen. Kitchen obviously does. Master bedroom is in the back of the property past the pool. It obviously is going to have it. And then our second story is a main room and two bedrooms, and they both get it. So, our agent was like, if you're going to air condition this whole place, it's going to be crazy. And we said, look, we're already spending enough money. We already know that this is going to be a bit of a project, but we're not going to build this, be here for several months a year, and then especially when we're here most of the year in retirement and not have all of that done. So we have the ability to work remotely. My wife is an attorney. I'm in real estate, but I'm focused a lot in different areas too. So it kind of allows me to step out when I need to. But yeah, it was one of those like, we're going to be fat city for sure, but we wanted to make sure that it was very, very comfortable. Let's see. The lights in Merida will dim. You're not kidding. Traveling Squirrel, you are not kidding. And I have to tell you, I actually here, let me take a drink in. Drinking a gallon and a half of water every day, trying to get back into my pants. Speaking of fat city, tacos every day will do that to you. But no, so you're not kidding. I definitely that's one of the reasons I had the conversation with him about like we need to make sure that all of the electrical is set up right because I'm a tech guy. I like having things in the right spaces. I like, my internet lines to be run exactly where they need to be so that I've got internet throughout the house. But man, it's going to be a draw. So we need to have a good solar setup. That is numero uno on our list of things that are absolutely necessary. I'm also hoping that we can find some AC units that are programmable so that we can, have maybe a minimum temperature and then you can manually up and down. But then like at night for the master bedroom, once we're down there permanently, they can just turn on when we go to bed. Because again, we have a normal routine. Okay, so the passive cooling is interesting. My house, if you guys haven't noticed from the pictures, is is not a house that has a ton of space up top, which is one of the areas that really helps in Merida. Is you have these really tall ceilings in some houses, so the air kind of fluctuates up there. You push air into the base of it, and then any air that's up kind of goes down. Opposite, any air that's down kind of goes up. Anyway, there are some things that we have above doors, but the layout of our house is such that most of what we are having to do is just put a lot of shaded areas where you can open the windows and get a good breeze going through. So, for instance, our house, when you walk in the very front door, we're going to have windows and doors and things. We're going to be able to see from the very front of the house all the way actually into the master bedroom if you didn't have any obstruction there. So what we can do is we'll have slight openings on the front door and then the rooms up front, which we can already tell creates a nice breeze. And then opening up everything, if you're in there now, it creates a wind tunnel throughout the whole place. So I think that's going to be number one, obviously with fans assisting and stuff like that. But the number one thing that I've seen down there and I've talked about this in other videos, is when you create shaded areas, it cuts the temperature down like crazy. I mean, the moment that you hit the sun, it feels like it goes up 25 degrees. It's the craziest sun I've ever seen in my life. So little stuff like that is going to be helpful. Shading around the courtyard where you walk into bedrooms and walk into other rooms, things of that nature. So yeah. Traveling Swirl, the first time or the next time that we go down is going to be either late October or early November. We have to pick out our furniture and just confirm some of the other choices that we've made. But yeah, we'll be down sometime around then. That's fair, Mike. Yeah, like I said, I mean, I have one that it's a little bit flashier than most. But it's easy when I turn it around. It looks just like a normal ring. So yeah, I mean, again, safety is safety. You gotta, you gotta deal, right? Let me get back. So immense. So what I have here on my notes is that there are immense real estate options, and I'm looking out the door. We're way too early now, but my kid's gonna be home. It's his first day of kindergarten, so I want to make sure that I'm out there when the bus pulls up. I heard a loud diesel out there, and it's just a truck working on construction. But so immense real estate options, and just to really go over it real quick, let's see. I know Travis Squirrel. I hope I'm there for that. If that worked out, I would be very very happy. But as far as real estate options, you can do in the city, which is Merida proper. As most people know, that is areas like Centro, the north area. In Centro you have Santa Ana and Santiago are some of the main areas. My area, Chenbec, is a little bit outside of that. It's about a 15-minute walk into Plaza Grande. Sometimes a little bit longer if you're traveling with kids or something like that. North end is a little bit more modern as opposed to the older buildings. And then obviously the beach community is the beach community. You can have condos, you can have beach houses, you can have a house within Progresso that's not really, on the beach, but it's close enough to it. So you just have this immense area of real estate options, which I think is beneficial for people that want to go down there, and maybe they want a beach house and they want a house in the city. Maybe they just want a house in the city, but the ability to go to a beach. It allows you all of that. And the price tags, again, just like we were talking about in the first part, are incredibly inexpensive. Let's see. You can choose whether to renovate or not. This is something that a lot of you guys have come onto this channel and said, you know, should I renovate like you are, or would I be better off, just purchasing a house that's completely renovated already? And the answer is whatever you're ready for. I mean, my wife and I have renovated many houses over many years, and I've gotten used to the process of it. So when I see a house, I almost want to renovate it because that way I can make it my own, as opposed to somebody that just doesn't want to deal with the hassle and wants to get down there. And especially if they want to get down there now, just buy a house that's renovated. But they're all in decent price ranges. Excuse me. Obviously, you can get one that's a little higher, but at the same time, if you just need something that's a 2 bed, 2 bath, 3 bed, 3 bath, something like that, there's all kinds of options for renovation or non-renovation, and some of them you can renovate, but just renovate a little bit, and it's still a great property. And then last of that was cheaper, expensive. You can look up Merida, and no matter if you're talking about the beach communities or you're talking about the north area that kind of has the more modern houses and stuff, or if you're talking about Centro, you can kind of pick your price. I mean, I found a few houses down there that were less than $150,000 that were in fantastic shape. Again, part of the reason I renovated is they weren't exactly to what I would want, but they were in fantastic shape, beautiful houses. Both had pools, and I think one was 130 and one was 134, completely renovated already. One was a 3 bed, and I can't remember what the other one was. But you can have something like that, or if you want, you can buy a hacienda that's kind of out in the middle of some of these different areas that starts out at $900,000 that you have to renovate. Or you can find a place that's $900,000 that's already renovated. There's a huge price swing, and you can probably get price houses that are cheaper than that down there that are already renovated. I'm just using my experience and kind of what I see on a day-to-day basis as I'm looking through those sites. Oh yeah, compared to Toronto, I'm sure it's reasonably priced. I mean, honestly, it's reasonably priced compared to Kansas City, Missouri, and we're considered one of the most affordable areas in the city or in the United States. It's not Kansas City as a city itself, I should say, not the state of Missouri where you can go find a place that's out in the middle of nowhere for even cheaper than that. But yeah, I mean the prices down there are absolutely incredible. So absolutely. And by the way, I'm going to say this one more time. If you don't mind, if you're enjoying this content, please feel free to hit the like button. Helps to get out to more people. Thank you very much. Also, if you want to, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Got a few more videos coming out hopefully this week. We've been off for a little bit, unfortunately. As you can tell, when I edit videos, I can edit out these coughs. When I'm live streaming, I cannot. And so this one's been kind of hanging on just a little bit, and that's why I'm dealing with this right now. But that's just what it is. So that's why my videos have been a little late coming out the last few weeks, is because one, we got back from Merida, and then I think 3 days in after my kids went into school, into daycare for a couple of days, brought home sickness immediately. So the life of having kids, right? LECP, hey, how are you? I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Enjoying the live stream. It's 101 degrees outside, so I'm enjoying being in the air conditioning as well. Been out there a lot working on some stuff, so yeah, I'm doing good. Glad you're back in. I appreciate it. We're just going over some of the stuff for real estate. Again, the biggest thing is just the price difference, and that really says a lot. I know a lot of people, again, going back to the beginning of the video, you kind of have to pick your poison. You can feel bad that the minimum wage or the wages are cheap, but at the same time, if you're looking for getting a lot of bang for your buck, if you're looking to stretch out your dollar a little bit more, you just have to kind of admit that the prices down there are inexpensive, and then just be a good citizen for the people that are there. Go into the community and bring something positive from yourself. So let's go on to the next one. So close to the States and Canada. This was actually the reason that we chose Merida over some other places that we were thinking about spending that initial month out of the country. We looked at Merida and thought, well, we're looking at Cartagena, we're looking at Belize, Nicaragua, Costa Rica. And I think at one point we actually looked at Panama, and we looked at that and said, wow, we've been to Costa Rica, but all these other places look like they're fantastic and they're beautiful. The Costa Rican experience was absolutely incredible. So we know that we're going to have, a pretty cool time. But then we started thinking, well, we got a place for a month. We have a ton of family and friends. Like, we're more likely to get them to go down if we find a place that's close to the United States. And so our first thought was, well, we've been to Cancun, we love Isla, we wanted to buy there, but the prices went crazy. Maybe we can find a place to rent on Isla. And then we looked at Puerto Vallarta and then a few other places. And then we literally just looked up, cities in Mexico, safe cities in Mexico, whatever it might be. Merida popped up, and then the, coastal towns kind of popped up. And we just started looking at it. It was like, this seems like an easy option. In Kansas City, they had just taken away the direct flight from Kansas City to Cancun, which makes it super easy. But this one was through Houston, and you can go through Miami and a couple of other areas. But we went to the one through Houston, and it was, 6.5 hours total and less than 4 in flight. So we just decided on Merida, took the step, and obviously liked it enough to where we bought a house down there. Even though we stayed on the coast, we bought a house in the city. So because we made that decision, though, we had my parents come down, my wife's family came down, and then this last trip we had that exact same thing. My niece came down with her boyfriend, and we had some friends come down. And because we were staying at a place that was big enough, we were able to have people have their own rooms and bathrooms and everything else. It worked out absolutely perfectly. And, even though that place was a little bit more expensive because we wanted to get these places big enough to where people could come down there and feel comfortable staying in a room, in their own room, we were still able to do it, and it worked out really, really well because it was 6.5 hours in flight. And even if you're in, Toronto or Seattle or New York, it's still not a bad flight to be able to get to Houston and then get down there if you're used to those kind of travel plans anyway. So that was us. That was how we kind of how what I think about it. But again, that's another reason people look at Merida is because of all of these things combined. And then, by the way, you don't have to travel very far. You don't have to take, be on the, you know, on a plane, on the road, whatever it might be, for an entire day of your vacation. We left the first day, we left here a little early and then our flight got delayed. But I mean, the first day we were basically traveling we were traveling for about 10 hours because of the delay. But really, we've done it in 6.5, 7. The only thing that kind of sucks is going through customs. But if you go out of town and you have to deal with customs, then you deal with customs. It's the worst part about that for us is that our kids are 6 and 3, and they were a little tired and frustrated. But it really wasn't that bad. Let's see. There's a direct flight from Toronto once per week. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. I don't know how nice it would be with kids. It was kind of nice to have like the 2 hours on the flight and then a layover, which I hate layovers. But if you're going to have a layover, you might as well, be able to get them out, stretch their legs, have them run around the airport and be crazy for a little bit. Let's see. Traveling Swirl, the nightly events. Pre-COVID and Merida are amazing. Can't wait for things to get back to normal. Every night there was something good on in a different barrio. I'm telling you what, I'm so excited to see this because this is one of those experiences that I haven't really had. When we went down, it was February 2020, and everybody knows what happened then. February 2020, chaos, me. That was us. We flew there on on two full flights, flew back. First flight was less than half full, the other one was about a quarter full. So yes, I'm excited to see that stuff too. 100%. Let me pop in one of these other things. So again, the whole point of this is reasons that people are talking about Merida because of an email that I received from one of you discussing like, hey, is this actually real? And then a comment that I got too that was pretty much the same thing. So I've seen this several times. How's the food in Mexico? Oh, LECP. How is the food in Mexico? First of all, live chat's going to answer this for you, I guarantee it. But excellent. Excellent. I was telling the story earlier about there was a place 2 doors down from us this last time that we went, and I got amazing nachos, amazing chicken, good burgers, which was odd. I didn't expect hamburgers, but they made them. My kids wanted them, and I tasted them. They were good. French fries, quesadillas, tacos, all kinds of stuff. I paid $6 US for what was it was enough food to feed me for a day and a half. On top of that, there's so many different places. I reviewed. I can't remember which video it was. I reviewed one recently that was kind of your day trip to Mexico, and there was a place called Crabster that had just absolutely fantastic food, all kinds of different seafood and stuff. Amazing. One of the more expensive places. Not traditional Mexican food all the way around. You know, no chicks, cochina pibil or pak chok or anything like that. But there are so many different places that have the traditional, you know, kind of Yucatecan food and what you would expect. You know, a bunch of taco places and stuff like that. But mm, mm, it's wonderful. Traveling Squirrel. Hey, have a good day. Enjoy it. I'll be sure not to sweat my butt too much off here. But thanks for being in the live stream. Really appreciate it. But yeah, the food in Mexico is absolutely amazing. You know, you can get into a lot of touristy places. You can hit the places that are just on the side of the road. In Merida, there's the zoning requirements are lax to say the least. So there are places where you'll have a house and then a restaurant right next to you. And if you just go in there, they're cooking on, you know, small stuff or whatever it might be. And you go in there and you get some of the best food you've ever had. So the local stuff, absolutely amazing. Tons of restaurants to pretty much do whatever you want. And then again, one of the positive things about Merida is in the Northland, it's a little bit more newly developed, you could say. And they actually have, and I thought this was hilarious at the time, but I can see where you would want it to happen. They have Texas Roadhouse. So even if you want truly Americanized food, you've got Domino's Pizza, McDonald's, Texas Roadhouse, but for weeks and weeks and weeks as you enjoy your stay there, I promise you that you won't want anything to do with that because the food almost everywhere is absolutely fantastic. And again, in some places, just incredibly cheap. There's a place called Hennessy's, which is kind of known as like the Expat bar that was right next to where we stayed. And we ate there every day, and it was always, you know, some type of American food or, you know, Irish food, something like that. The name Hennessy's, you would expect that. And not once did I order something from there that one didn't take me back here mentally, but two that was bad. So you can find anything there. You can Korean food, all kinds of stuff, but the traditional Mexican food is out of this world. So definitely enjoy it. Oh no, traveling squirrel just had it on. I think she was the one that was talking about the flight. Yep, you'll have to get back in the next live stream. I don't know which one it is. Look it up though. LECP. I'm going to Playa del Carmen next month. Any restaurant recommendations? I have only been through Playa del Carmen 2 or 3 times. I'm the wrong person to ask about that. But I can tell you that there are several restaurants that are right along the beach. Playa del Carmen has one of the nicest beaches I've ever seen. Beautiful water, white sand. There are tons of places that were right along the beach that served all kinds of fantastic food. We ate there each time that we went, but then several times just right before we got like on a boat to go over to Cozumel. So I would say aim for the beach and then pick a place and you're good to go. Let me see here. I want to get through a couple of other things. My son's probably going to get out of school in about 15 minutes, and then it'll be about 15 more until he's home. And I want to be out there on the bus stop. Let's see. Speaking of solid but not too large expat community, it is not touristy. So talking about, again, white people like Merida. If you go to Cancun, if you go to Puerto Vallarta, you're going to see a lot of touristy places, like we were just talking about with the food. A lot of places that appeal to patrons in the US or in Canada or in England, but for the most part, it feels like a tourist place. I make the language comparison a lot, where when you go to Cancun, you can pretty much go anywhere speaking English and you're fine. You don't have to worry about it at all. If the person that you're talking to doesn't speak great English, the person right next to them does. So it makes it a very easy tourist experience. When you're talking about Merida, that is not the case at all. It reminded me a lot of when my family traveled to Costa Rica, where if you were going to go down there, unless you went to the expat bar, you better know a little bit of Spanish. I mean, it really helps. So we had all kinds of stuff with us. Back then it was books and things like that. But it really helped a lot. And Merida is definitely a place where you need to learn, not if you're going down there for a weekend or for a week or a couple of weeks. Like, obviously, credit cards work, bring some cash, bring some pesos, stuff like that. And you can handle everything else just fine. But there were definitely a couple of times where I felt a little uncomfortable because, not that it was anything negative on the other person's side. I didn't know the language. I'm in their country. I should know the language, and I don't. So now I've got to figure out, downloading Google Translate, which is a huge help. But get on Google Translate, see what they're saying, communicate between, and boom, you're fine. One of the things that you hear all the time about Merida is the people, and that is, without question, the number one reason to be there. Absolutely incredible communities of individuals, and a lot of them understand that if you, just being honest, look like me, probably not going to know as much Spanish as somebody that looks like they're from there. Trying to be a very honest statement. Trying not to sound terrible, but and a little self-deprecating, but it's true. So if that's the case, make sure that you plan ahead. Either bring a translation book or download Google Translate. That was huge for us. But like, my wife speaks very, very good Spanish. Even if she can't catch everything, she can catch enough of it to understand what the person's saying. I will tell you that just being down there for 3 weeks, my Spanish has gotten better and better as I've been studying and learning. But just being down there for 3 weeks, the first few days I arrived, I kind of freaked out. And then the last 2 weeks, I was completely fine because I realized, like, nobody doesn't understand that we're going to get through this. We just had to figure out the way to do it. So that is the number one thing about it not being touristy, but it also is just a functioning city. It's a place that's everywhere else in the world, different language, people are the same. As long as you have a smile on your face and you're nice, you get around it. But it doesn't feel like a Cancun where everything is about nightlife and partying and drinking and that kind of thing. It is a city where people are living their lives, having a great time, and it is not all about you as the tourist. You just get to be a part of their world for a little bit of time, and it's a pretty awesome experience. So if you like that kind of thing, if you're the kind of person that goes somewhere and you don't want the flair, Merida is probably the right place for you. Let's see. Got a couple of things here. Haha, no worries. I'll look into, maybe it's new. I do love the idea of that. Having an amazing day. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. Hey, you too, Michelle. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Yo hablo español un poquito. Exactly. That's a good statement to learn. Yo hablo español un poquito. I speak a little Spanish. Just a little. Poquito is a very important word. If somebody says habla español, un poquito. Just a little bit. And most of the time they just smile, and just like you would if somebody else is there. All right, hold on just a second, guys. Okay, good. It's like, my kids aren't even out of school and there's a bus that's driving by, but it was the wrong number. Sorry about that. Freaked me out just for a second. See, and guys, by the way, if you want to follow me on something, or if you want to communicate back and forth, always feel free to comment down below. If you want it to be just between the two of us, go to alexanderhowell.com. Again, alexanderhowell.com, spelled the same way that the YouTube channel is. And go there, hit the contact us page. That doesn't sign you up for anything. That sends an email directly to me, and we can just communicate back and forth if you have any questions. Also, feel free to like the video and visit me on social media at Alexander from KC. Instagram is my main jam. Just letting you know. And also, if you haven't liked the video, please like the video. I'd appreciate it. Thanks. So we got a couple more things here. Tons of information. Yes, there is tons of information, and I like to think that my channel has helped quite a bit with giving information. If you want to, kind of piling on to the next thing, Merida is a really positive place too, because it's not somewhere that's out in the middle of nowhere. It's a big city, and a lot of people have become expats there. Even though not all of them are permanent residents, but there is about 10,000 expats in the state of Yucatan, which is, Merida, all the beach cities, and then all the areas around it. About 10,000 registered expats there. But it seems like there's a lot more. There are a lot of people that own property there. There are a lot of people that are back and forth. While I say that that tourism is not the number one thing, it is obviously still a tourist destination for obvious reasons. But if you're looking for information about a place, there is a ton of information, lots of YouTube channels, lots of good information. And if you do like information like that, or you want to get on a live stream and ask me questions, feel free to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. That's going to let you know anytime that I go live. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. Subscribing and liking and hitting the notification bell, cheap way to help me out because it's free. So thank you guys. Let's see. What else do we have here? Mike, your floor plan is awesome. Hopefully we can be neighbors in the future. If I can convince my wife, she's already a hard sell. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you, Mike. Really appreciate it. I hope we are neighbors at some point. Yeah, the layout of the place is pretty sweet. I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite things about the place. So thank you so much for that, and have an awesome day, by the way. But yeah, there's tons of information about Merida. It's not somewhere that is so remote that very few people have been there. And you probably will notice that there are more and more YouTubers like me that are a part of Merida. And I know I get accused sometimes of being somebody that's not there all the time, so how could I know? And my response is, I've never been to ancient Rome. I've been to Rome, but I've never been to ancient Rome, but I can still learn about it from books and YouTube channels and documentaries and stuff like that. So it's always good to research, do your research, get people that are on the ground there. But if you're on a channel like mine, I am happy to answer any question that I might have, or we can look it up together on these live streams, which is a huge help to be able to do for me as well, because there's a lot of stuff that I'm not going to know either. So let's see. Let's go. So again, and getting on to that, I'm glad that we're kind of finishing off with this. So permanent residency or long-term residency is, I'm just going to say it, it's pretty easy to capture. There are all kinds of resources out there. I have not had to do this yet. I have not personally gone through it. And what I'm trying to do is get an appointment. And obviously with COVID right now, it's a little difficult. But we have a Mexican embassy in Kansas City, and I'm trying to get an appointment with them to see if I can do a video where I can ask them questions and they can answer. My guess is that I'm probably just going to end up doing it over Zoom and having somebody edit that out. But ask them a few questions on video, they can respond to it and provide any information that might be helpful for you guys to be able to really kind of understand exactly what the processes are, what you need to go through. But I've had several people that are subscribers to this channel that are subscribers of this channel that have told me about their process about going to the embassy, filling out the paperwork, showing documentation. A few of them have had to show, if they have somebody there that's going to hire them. But for the most part, it's, do you have the ability to go? Are you going to be a good citizen? So on and so forth. It's not as lengthy a process as I think most people make it out to be, but it is just a process where it's helpful to understand. So hopefully I can bring that to you guys. Again, I'm not familiar with it, but we've had enough people on this channel that have gone through it that I feel confident in telling you that if you're looking to do it, please do, because I think that you'll have a good time with it. And, moving somewhere permanently is obviously kind of a scary thing, just getting through the mentality of it. But again, with what we went over earlier, one of the positives with Merida is that you're only a day's travel to the United States by plane. You're 6.5 hours, 4 hours of flight time back to where I live. And, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, depending on where you live. But Mexico borders us, and the Yucatan is not a terrible area to get to. And one of the other things that you can do is, if you decide that you want to fly into Cancun, if they have a direct flight, there's a bus that is a first-class bus that'll take you from Cancun to Merida. I believe the drive is between 3.5 and 4 hours, but it will actually get you from there to here. Nice seats, air conditioned, TVs in the seat, bathroom in the back, that kind of thing. So first-class ride if you decide that you want to go to Cancun first and travel to Merida, and then obviously they'll take you back too. So if the flight's easier that way, I would recommend doing that. You're going to be on a bus, but it's going to feel the exact same as a plane. So there you go. But yeah, guys, if any of you guys have any questions, looks like we've still got some people that are on the live chat, which I very much appreciate. Thank you for liking and subscribing and all that kind of fun stuff. But if you're on the live chat, feel free to ask me anything. I kind of went through my list. That was why people are choosing Merida, Mexico, whether it's to travel to move to, just to rent in. There have been so many people that are saying, that I've talked to online, that have basically said, like, we decided that we just lived there for 6 months, and then that turned into 2 years. They moved somewhere else for a bit, and then they ended up buying a house in Merida several years later. Some people that were familiar with Merida years ago that have rediscovered the area and are now deciding to buy. One of the conversations that I've had several times is that we were on the beach because that's where I thought I would want to be. I ended up purchasing a house in the city because I had to look through it and say, well, as great as the beach was, I was 20 minutes from everything where we stayed anyway. In Merida, the places where we are, there's a market half a block away, several restaurants in the area that have fantastic recommendations, and a big grocery store about 3 blocks north. We're set in a very, very good spot. So between that for us in retirement, and then also thinking about what's going to be able to rent a little easier, the beach is great, but let's just build a really big, nice pool. That seemed like the better investment for us. A lot of people don't feel that way. And especially when you think about the maintenance of a beach house, that also kind of turned me off. So we ended up buying in the city. But I had to have a pool because I like looking at water. So that was rule number one. I got to look at water. Rule number one. Whether it's a beach, whether it's a pool. I have a pool in this house. I have a lake house. I got a lake, and there, a pool. I've got to have water to stare at. When I haven't had water, I'll buy like a water feature or something. So I'd like to retire somewhere in Mexico. Is Merida too hot? Merida is hot as can be. I will tell you that. The Yucatan is very flat. On the beach, you'll get most of the time a nice breeze off of the Gulf. Sometimes that breeze will die and you'll have to shut all the doors and everything. But for instance, when we went to Crabster that was on the beach, it was completely open. They had shades and covers and everything. They didn't have a single air conditioning unit, but there was enough breeze coming off of the ocean where it felt fantastic. You walked outside, it was in the 90s. You walked inside, couldn't tell at all. If you are somebody that is susceptible to being too hot, the number one thing I would say is go down there and stay for like a week and a half. Most of the time, you'll notice that a lot of people aren't out and about. A lot of people are, let me rephrase that. People are out and about, but not as much as that in the evening when the sun's going down. And that's just because when it is up in the middle of the day, it's ridiculously hot. I mean, just being honest, if it's hovering around 100 degrees, it feels like a 20, 25 degree difference between standing in the sunlight and in the shade. So even in parks, you'll notice that anybody that's sitting there, if it's covered by a tree, if a park bench is covered by a tree, tons of people sitting in those benches. The one next to it that has the sun hitting it, nobody. So if you're somebody that's susceptible to the heat, I would definitely say take a trip down there. May is the hottest month if you really want to test yourself out. But the first 2 times that we went down there were March and February, and once in late December between Christmas and New Year's. And it was fantastic. Outside was 85 degrees. So if you're a snowbird, I think Merida is fine. But if you're somebody that, is thinking, well, I'm going to spend my summers there, I would definitely recommend trying to get down there during the summer to see if you're used to it. The locals down there wear jeans and long sleeve shirts or jeans and t-shirts. I mean, when we were down there, Henry was always wearing jeans and a polo shirt. If you get used to it, you get used to it. I didn't have a problem with it after a few days. Like my body adjusted really well, but that is the biggest concern that people have is the heat. My most disliked video is 5 reasons not to travel to Merida. And literally my most disliked video, it's like a 74% like to dislike ratio. It's terrible. But it's also one of my most viewed videos. But that's one of the things actually in the thumbnail is that it's too hot. So if you're a cold temperature person, maybe look at different areas. Maybe look at like Puerto Vallarta or what is it? San Miguel de Allende. That could be your thing. But I like it. Like it's 100 and something degrees outside. I like being in the air conditioning, but I was working all day out there too. So it is what it is. Oh man, it's 4:11 guys here. I have got to sign off. First of all, thank you so much for being a part of this live stream. I really appreciate it. I'm going to have more content out for you. What beaches can I find in Merida? So Progreso Beach is the biggest one. If you take the main highway straight north, you're going to run into Progreso. They've got the Matacon out there, nice beachfront area that's got all kinds of shops and food places and tourist stores. Big, beautiful beach. That's where the 4.3 mile long pier is, the longest in the world. is right there. That's a wonderful beach. There are several right around there. Some get a little seaweedy, kind of hard shell, but then there are places, and I'd have to look it up. Somebody in the comments will probably fill it in. But there are several beaches to the well, that'd be the west and the east that are also very beautiful too. So one that I would consider going to is Telchac Puerto, which is kind of on the other side of the beach communities in for Merida in the Yucatan. But Telchac Puerto, there was a small restaurant that we stayed at that is actually in my video like top five favorite beach town restaurants. There was a place there that you were basically right on the beach, and it was just blue and teal water, absolutely beautiful. So, first one to visit though, I would definitely say visit the little street there called the Malecon in Progreso, and that's just a massive, massive beach. Right now they're shut down on Saturdays and Sundays, unfortunately. But if you're on vacation, visit it during the week. That's just a COVID measure. But yeah, that's where I would say to start, and then we can research some from there. So I want to get back down there and actually visit some of these beaches that people keep telling me about. But that is the life that we lead. Is hopefully we can fit 24 hours or 26 hours in a day. But again, guys, I got to sign off here because I got to go get my kid. But thank you so much again. Real quick rundown. If you want to follow me on social media at Alexander from KC. If you want to send me a direct email, alexander.com, and go to the contact us page. That sends me just a direct email right to my inbox. And really appreciate if you guys have any questions about it like that. Also, if you like the video, please hit the like button. Would very much appreciate it. And also, if you enjoyed this content and the other content that's on my channel, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. That one helps the channel grow, but also it is the freest way to help me out in growing the channel. Again, my name is Alexander Howell. Thank you so much for being a part of this live stream. And as always, peace. Oh, and feel free to text me at 816-727-7740. That's 816-727-7740. More direct way to contact me. All right, guys.